next, we're going to hear from housing. Is Melanie on?
I am here.
Hi, Melanie.
Hello. Good
Thanks
morning,
for
everyone.
joining us. So I'm going to mute myself again. We welcome Melanie to the new student orientation virtually, and Melanie's going to talk all things housing.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Melanie Potts. I'm the Director of Housing and Residential Life, and I just want to be one of many today that are going to say welcome to the EWU family. I'm also an alum of EWU, and so it's always very exciting to see a new group of people come in and join our family. I am going to share my screen with you, so let's hope this goes well. Are we seeing, can I get a thumbs up? Do you see a slide here? Hooray, I did it on the first try. Okay, so I have kind of an abbreviated amount of time today, and I want to provide an opportunity for you to ask some questions. This is sort of unique and a benefit of coming to the virtual orientation. You get to ask some direct questions during my presentation. Typically, I would have staff members that would meet you at a resource fair. But what I find is that sometimes when I'm talking, it raises questions for people. So we want to make sure we provide some time for that. So I'm going to speed through some information, hit some high points, and hopefully if you have questions, you'll be able to put those in the Q&A, and Megan's going to help me out and read those questions to me when we get there. So if you think of something while I'm talking, make sure to put something in that Q&A. So let's see here. We'll move on to our next slide. So welcome to Life on Campus. When I talk about life on campus, obviously I'm particularly talking about housing and residential life, but I actually think it's really important that you think of life on campus as an entire experience. Campus encompasses a lot more than the room you're going to live in. And so I think it's really important that you get involved with clubs and organizations and that you find your spot. Figure out the place that you fit best at Eastern, because that's what's going to keep you coming back. All the research shows us that the more that students feel like they belong and they have made campus their own, the more likely they are to actually end up getting a degree, which is the reason you're coming here to begin with, at least for most of you, I would hope. So make sure that you do get connected, and we will do everything that we can to help with that process. The thing that I really want to hit on, because we're getting really close to the start of the school year, is that first-year students at Eastern are required to live on campus. And what that means is that any student that is coming to Eastern for the first time after graduating from high school, so if you are a Running Start student and this is your first year since graduating from high school, you are not considered a transfer student. You are a first-year student. And so you need to be in compliance with our first-year live-on requirement. There are two ways to get in compliance. Option one, apply and live on campus. That's the easy one. The other way to get in compliance is to submit an exception request and get that approved by our exceptions request committee. So if you haven't done that yet, you will be receiving communication from us. We send out emails and phone calls and text messages. We want to make sure that everybody gets in compliance, because the other option is that your classes get dropped. And that would be worst case scenario. We want you here with us at Eastern. That's our number one priority. So we want to get you in compliance. So if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer those. As far as why students choose to live on campus, there are probably some of you that are already have applied. Some of you may have your assignment. We're getting ready to send out a next round of assignments, so be watching for those. But students live on campus for a variety of reasons, and I don't feel like I need to go into these very far because I feel like it's kind of obvious. It is really fun. I know that's the last point on my slide, but living on campus is fun. It's an opportunity to get connected with other students, to live in close proximity to people that are really different from you. And quite honestly, one of the greatest benefits of a college education, and one of the things that is making you most prepared for the workforce, is your ability to work with other people. And there is no better environment to do that than in a somewhat small room that you may be sharing with another person, and bathrooms that you may be sharing with like 20 other persons. So So this is a real opportunity for you to not just develop yourself, have fun, learn new things about different cultures and different people, but it is really an opportunity for you to grow into the future professional that you are here to become. Another reason that people choose to live on campus is because of the connection to the campus that you get. Like I said, everything shows that students who get connected on campus are more likely to stay here and more likely to complete their degree. And so I think it's really a benefit of living on campus that you're here in the middle of it kind of all the time. We have really intentional programming and events that get you connected and help you find your spot. We're not just like, we don't expect that you're like, ooh, I love living on housing so much. That's not really about that. That's not what we're here for. We're here to act as a connection point to the rest of campus. Also, access to campus resources. So I know that when I came to college, I got here and I was like, oh, this is different. I had been a straight A student in high school and it all came really naturally and easily to me. And then I got here and the expectations were quite different. And so places like the Writers Center and the Math Lab and all these other resources we have on campus can really help. The other thing is, for many students who may be away from home for the first time, things are going to feel a little different and you may struggle a little bit. And that is most people. You may struggle a little bit to make connections with others, kind of managing your own schedule. So we have lots of different services on campus that are designed entirely to help you be successful as a whole person, which means we're here to support everything that's happening in your life and also help you do well in class. That's our ultimate goal. Safety is a big reason that people choose to live on campus. I don't know how many families are listening along, but usually families care more about this than students do, if I'm being completely honest. But we have a fully commissioned police force that we partner with. They're not like in the halls patrolling and watching for bad behavior, but they are there to act as a resource when we have students that are in emergency situations. And we have a really good relationship with them. So they're able to make connections with students on a personal basis, and that really helps with the comfortability and the safety of our campus. Additionally, our buildings are locked down 24/7. The biggest barrier to safety is all of you, because you're very nice, kind people who, when somebody wants into that building, you hold the door open because that's what you've always been taught to do, is be kind and help somebody through a door. Well, in a residence hall situation, that's not always the best. So if you don't know somebody, we encourage you to help us with our commitment to safety. And fun, I already mentioned it, but it deserves to be mentioned as many times as possible. We're going to plan all kinds of events for you, but even the stuff that we don't plan, just the simple things like watching the next season of The Bachelor or catching a game together, whatever the thing may be that you find kind of commonality with other people. That all happens so naturally in the residence hall environment. So those are just a few of the reasons. If you're kind of on the fence or trying to figure out, why would I choose to live on campus? There's a few things there. So next steps. There are some things coming up that you are going to need to do, even if you have already applied for housing. So one of those things, we talked about applying for housing. One of the things I want you to do is review your assignment, your building assignment, and get to know your roommate if you've been assigned a roommate. This is really important. And I know that it is one of the more nerve-wracking things about coming to live on campus, is this concept of living with a stranger. And quite honestly, even if you're not living with a stranger, but like your best friend or a cousin, I think siblings can manage this one okay, because you've really lived together before. But living in close proximity with people can be a challenge. And so I know that this is something that people have a lot of apprehension about. And I want to tell you a very quick story about myself and my roommate. So when I was getting ready to come to school, there was no social media or anything like that. And so let me guess, most of you, the second you got that roommate assignment, you fast and furious picked up your phone and you started stalking that person like crazy on social media to figure out exactly who they were. and you may have made some snap judgments. So when I was getting ready to come to school, I had to use a landline telephone with a cord, and I had to call my roommate because there were no social media apps that I could stalk her on. And when I called, her dad answered the phone, and I already knew that she was from Montana because we used to give out everybody's full address, which is like different potential for stalking than just social media. But anyway, we used to give out full addresses. And so I knew that she was from Montana. So I made all these assumptions as a person who has never been to Montana, that clearly she was a cowgirl. So then I call and her dad says, "Oh, I'm sorry, she's not here right now. She's working at the John Deere." Confirmed. She is a cowgirl. And I talked to her. Eventually, she called me back. She said nothing that like absolutely put the nail in the cowgirl coffin, but she also did not dissuade me from this belief that I had about exactly who she was. So when I got to school and she moved in the day ahead of me, I'm walking down the hall with my parents, and there's a very loud bass and like hip hop music coming from somewhere on my floor. I was like, ooh, I have a fun neighbor. Turns out that was my roommate. It also turns out that just because you are from Montana and clean the John Deere showroom in the evening, that does not make you a cowgirl. So the reason I tell you this story is because I made so many assumptions about who she was. You have seen pictures, and you have seen random one-off comments, and you have seen captions. If you have not talked to that human being and asked them questions about who they are, you actually know absolutely nothing about them that is real. And we all know that we are all curating a version of ourselves online, right? And we don't always represent ourselves the best way possible. So what I would encourage you to do is talk to that person, get to know them. Learn if you're going to be able to have some maybe awkward conversations with them. Because the best roommate is a roommate that you treat with respect and that treats you with respect. That's all we're looking for. You don't have to have everything in common. You don't need to be best friends. You just need to be able to say, hey, it drives me crazy when you leave your wet towel right in front of my bed. These are things that we see explode because we're just not comfortable having those simple conversations. So that's what you're looking for in a roommate, is someone you can talk to. It's that simple. If that is challenging and you are finding it hard to talk with your roommate, we have live-in staff, both student staff and professional staff, that are in each and every building and are ready to help you have those conversations. Please don't wait for something to become a big dramatic emergency before you ask us for help with that conversation. We want you to be as successful as possible, because when your living situation feels chaotic, it's hard to focus on the things you came here to focus on. So we're here to help you with that. Okay, I'm off my roommate soapbox. It's a big deal. I know that it's stressful to you, so I just think it's important that we talk about it. Okay, moving on. Other things that you need to take care of. Get your Eagle card before you come here. We are about to send out a round of assignments, and actually every single one of you, even if you've already gotten a building assignment and roommate assignment, all of you are going to be getting this email because there's new information. So please, please be checking your Eastern email account, okay? And we will send one to your personal as well, but it's important to get used to checking that Eastern one, and they should all be active now. So in that information, there will be a link to how you get your Eagle card in advance. Please do this. It allows us to program it so that you have building access. We have to program each and every one of those by hand. So if you can do that ahead of time, that's great. You'll be able to get in your room and into your building right away. You'll be able to eat right away, which is going to be a big deal. After you've spent the day moving, you're going to be hungry. Treat your families and friends to maybe a little snack. It's important that you have that and that it's ready to go. So we will have it for you right at move-in, and just be able to hand it over, and you'll be ready to roll if you take care of that in advance. So please take care of that. The other thing that you're going to do is you're going to choose a move-in time slot. So there will be instructions in the email I send you, but move-in is on September 19th and 20th, okay? We allow for some early arrivals, but only if they were with a specific program, and you would already know it if you were somebody who was doing that. So anybody else needs to plan to be here on either Thursday the 19th or Friday the 20th. You will choose a time that works best for you to move in. We have half-hour time slots. The reason that we do this is so that we can spread it out throughout the day. We have volunteers here, tons of them, that are going to help you move your stuff and keep the flow of traffic moving. So please sign up for one of those times. We will also pester you about this. So please take care of that. It helps us know that you're coming. Make sure you get signed in for a time slot. And then the last thing that I always tell people to do whenever I talk about this stuff is take a deep breath. You're about to make some really big changes. And probably for many of you, this will be the first time that you've lived away from home. And while that's really exciting, we also know that even if you're pretending that there's not some stress building there, there's some stress building there. And that's perfectly normal and natural. And actually, I would be surprised if something didn't hit you at some point that was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. So I really want to encourage you to lean in, get used to doing things in the midst of feeling uncomfortable. One of my favorite things that we say to people, and we have it posted around the halls, is you can do hard things even if you feel anxious the whole time. You are capable. Trust yourself. You wouldn't have been admitted. You wouldn't have come this far. You wouldn't have done all the things you needed to do if you weren't totally and completely capable of what is in front of you. We trust you completely to do this work. Additionally, if there are any families listening out there, I know that this is a big deal, and particularly for families who are sending away their first student to college. So just really want to encourage you that we are here to act as a partner with you. And so if you are noticing something from your student that feels a little off, reach out to us. We are happy to work alongside you to get your student the support that they need. And also trust yourselves. Families, trust that you have prepared this human being to do this next big thing in their life. They are capable, and it's because of the work that you've put in on the front end. So thank you for trusting us to help your student along this path, and we're so excited to have you join us. So with that, are there any questions out there about housing that I can answer? Have you gotten any, Megan?
Yes, I have a few.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so there's a couple questions about if they've applied to housing but have not gotten their placement yet. When can they expect to get that?
Yeah, so we are doing a set of placements this afternoon, actually. And so hopefully that will be out to you either this afternoon or tomorrow. It will be one of those two times. So be watching your email. That's how we'll send those out. We, as those of you who have already gotten a building placement and a roommate assignment know, we do not give out your actual room number until just the like first week of September. And that's very intentional. Moving over 1,000 people into like pretty much almost exactly the same number of bed spaces is kind of a crazy puzzle. And so sometimes, you know, we may have to move somebody from room 415 to room 312 just to make some piece of the puzzle work. And we found that that is very stressful for people if their room number changes, even though all the rooms look exactly the same. So there's a good reason for that. So anyway, you can expect to be getting your placement here today or tomorrow, and then we will send you your actual room numbers that first week of September.
Perfect. Okay. There's also a question about when will students get an email regarding when they can sign up for their move-in day?
Yeah, so that email that I was talking about that we are going to be sending out with the placements, that email will also have the information about the time slots. So you will log into the same application process that you logged into to do your housing application, and that will just be the next step in the process for you. So you will click on the Apply Now button. All these instructions are going to be in that email, but you'll click on the Apply Now button and it will take you to that time slot step, and that's when you'll sign up.
Perfect. Some questions about the housing exemption form.
Sure.
Maybe can you explain the process a little bit? Some people have filled it out, some people don't know what it is, and then also like the timeline of when they could hear back about that.
Yes, definitely. So we have some exemptions that are easy peasy. Like if you're going to be living at home with your family and you're from the Spokane area, that's like we verify that the address you provide us that you're going to be living at matches the address that is on file as your permanent address. Boom, approved. And we send those approvals out via email. So be watching your email for those approvals. Now, if you are requesting to live off campus for a different reason, sometimes those require some more review. And so those go before a committee. That committee at this stage is meeting weekly. And as we get closer to September 1st, it will meet twice a week so that we can approve those as quickly as possible. If you have submitted an exception request and you have not heard back, please check your email and your text messages because we have been reaching out. We've got about 20 people out there in the ether that provided us with some information, but not enough information for us to make a decision. So it's really important that once you submit that exception request, you stay connected with us and make sure that we have all the information that we need. So we've done, in some cases, like upwards of 10 outreaches to see if we could get more information. So please be watching for that so that we can approve that. Typically now that we're getting so close to September, when you submit one, you should have a response within a week. If you don't, I would highly encourage you to reach out to us and say, hey, I submitted this. I'm just wondering what the next step is, because sometimes people think they submitted one and for whatever reason, it doesn't get through to us. So please make sure to take care of that quickly because we want you to be able to stay enrolled here at Eastern.
Love it. Okay, transitioning a little bit. So there's a few questions about the Eagle card.
Yeah.
I guess generally, who should be getting the Eagle card? Is it just first year students? Is it transfer students, online students? And maybe can you like briefly touch on like why the Eagle card is so beneficial to students?
Yes, definitely. So if you are going to be an all online student and you're not going to be coming to campus at all, the Eagle card is not as critical for you. So what the Eagle card does, it is like one card that provides you many, many things. So from a housing perspective, it is the way that you access the building. It's how you unlock the building. It is also how you will eat. So your meal plan will be loaded onto that card. So those are two really big things. But in addition to those things, it serves as an ID on campus. It's what's going to help you get into certain sporting events on campus. It helps you ride the bus. You're all going to be paying a transportation fee. You should take advantage of riding the bus. You've got some print credit loaded on there. It's going to help you out at the library. So it really, if you are a student who is going to be on campus, whether that be the Cheney or Spokane campus, you need to get an Eagle card. Whether you are a first year student or a transfer student, if you already have an Eagle card, because maybe you were a Running Start student or whatever the case may be, you can keep using that same one. There's not a reason to get a new one. But it is important that if you are a first time at Eastern student that is going to be at either of the physical campuses, you definitely want to get one.
Awesome. Love it. And then a follow-up question with that. If students are not living on campus, but they still need their Eagle card, how do they pick that up? And when?
Yes, so the Eagle Card office is located in Tawonka Hall, which is kind of like right in the middle of campus. If you walked out the big front doors of the pub and looked straight across campus, you are looking at Tawonka. So on the first floor there is where you go to pick up that card. If you go to the Eastern website and you search Eagle Card, it can take you to their site and you should be able to request it ahead of time, very similarly to how a housing student would request it ahead of time. And so you can just go and pick it up. There's also an option to just show up at their office and get your photo taken and get your card printed there.
Awesome. I know Maria had a couple questions that were sent to her, so I'm gonna pop
okay.
over to her.
Yeah, a lot of them you touched on already, Melanie, but
Oh, okay.
what I just saw is on Summer Bridge. So do you know the logistics of when students will be able to move in on that September 10th? Are there time slots as well, or?
So you won't sign up for specific time slots. We will be sending specific move-in information to Summer Bridge students rather than get into all these details here in front of this group. Be watching for a separate, so you're going to get the same email as everybody else. You don't need to sign up for a time slot because we know that you're becoming for Bridge. And so we will be sending you your move-in information early next week. We have to dial in some times with the Bridge program, but you will be coming on September 10th. Sometime between the hours of 9 and 4 are the ideal times for you to get here. And we will have specific instructions for you though about where to pick up your keys and stuff like that in that separate communication.
Perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm just looking.
Mhm.
The exception form, they find that in their email or on your website or?
It's on our website, and actually, once I'm done talking here and I get all my screens back, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link to the exception request form in the chat. So if you're a person who needs to do that, please watch the chat and you'll be able to link right to that. The form takes less than 5 minutes to complete. It's a pretty painless process.
Perfect. Would you say that's true for transfer students that will be living off campus as well?
Yes, so transfer students, oh, thanks Megan for putting that in the chat. Transfer students, so if you are a transfer student who is admitted with more than 40 credits, you are automatically exempted from the live on requirement. It's those students who did 1 year. So like you may have done 1 year at another institution and then you decided to come to Eastern. Those are the students who need to complete the form as well. And that is one of the options on the form is I am a transfer student. So we just verify that by looking at the transcripts that you have provided to records and registration. So let this serve as another reminder. If you have not yet provided your final transcripts to records and registration, please do that. There are a lot of processes for you that are kind of hinging on that information. So, but we'll look at your transcripts and we'll be able to easily verify that.
Perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
Those are all the questions I had directly to me regarding housing and Eagle Card and move in, all that stuff. Megan,
Perfect.
do you have any more?
No, that was everything from my end too.
Okay, well, just as like a final parting thing to say to you, really enjoy this next year. When you come to campus, please attend Welcome Week events. There are a lot of things that happen during that week that are super fun, but there are a lot of pieces of really important information for you as well that are just going to set you up to be successful through your whole first year. And honestly, they're going to set you up for success for your entire academic experience here at Eastern. So please take advantage of those things. And I really want to encourage you that when you get invited to something, try it at least the first few times while you're making friends. Don't turn down those invitations because you're nervous or whatever. Every single person is nervous, even if they're pretending not to be. So take advantage of those opportunities. It's going to be, I mean, it sounds dramatic, but it will be life-changing. You're going to meet people and experience things that are going to set you on a trajectory that possibly lasts for the rest of your life. So that sounds really intense and dramatic, but it's sometimes just as simple as, hey, you want to go to the pub and grab a burger? And that burger might be the thing that is the thing that changes your life legitimately. So just like take advantage of opportunities and be willing to say yes. Welcome to EWU. We can't wait to have you get here in just about a month, less than a month. Very exciting. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Melanie. Please help me give Melanie a round of applause if you know how to do that. I really appreciate your time, Melanie. Housing is a lot of fun. Like I said, we're in the Pence Union building. We're right across the street from all the resident halls, and it's exciting to see all our new students move in. Megan and I take shifts to help you move in, so we just might be helping you carry your things into your residence hall. So thank you so much, Melanie. Okay. So next up, and we are going to hear from McKenna, and McKenna is coming from the Financial Aid and Scholarship Office. So McKenna, are you with us? Sorry, I can't see everyone who's in the chat or in the Zoom. think she just joined us. Maybe?
I'm here. I just couldn't unmute myself.
Perfect. Thank you, McKenna. All right. Financial aid and scholarships. Thanks for being here, McKenna.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Okay. Give me just 1 second to share my screen. Oh, looks like I can't share my screen yet.
Try now.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Can we all see that? Okay, great. So hello, everybody. My name is McKenna. I'm in the financial aid office. And it's just some little things about me. I mean, of course, we're going to talk about financial aid, but usually, I would ask some questions about you and we'd get to know each other a little bit. But since we're doing virtual, I'll just talk about myself. So I went to high school here in Spokane. I'm an LC graduate, Lewis and Clark. I went to Running Start at SFCC, and then I came here. So I am an Eastern alumni. I have a dog, a cat, 4 chickens, and a bearded dragon. And my favorite colors are black and red, so it's very appropriate that I go here. This is our team as well. This is going to be our outreach team. Most of the people that you're going to be interacting with are going to be on this team. So Paige, Tiffany, and Nadia are here, and they are also all alumni of Eastern Washington University. Not pictured here because he's just brand new is Jonathan. And he is quickly learning, but he will be ready to go in a couple of months to also help you. There are also a ton of other people in the financial aid office that are behind the scenes, some of which you'll be working with, some of which not, but 17 in total are on our team. So let's talk about a couple of things, the most important topics to know for financial aid, which would just be ways to pay for college, the things you need to do to get those, and then kind of some key takeaways for today. So paying for college, we have a couple of different options. We're going to go grants, scholarships. Those are going to be kind of your free money based off of mostly the FAFSA, but also if you do any kind of external scholarship work. We also have loans, and those are also going to be either through the FAFSA or through external alternative loans, and then work study as well. So different ways, if you're interested in any of these and you don't know how to get access to one of them by the end of this presentation, you're more than welcome to either ask, or if you're too shy to ask over the chat, then come into our office or give us a call, send us an email. We are a little busy right now, but we are more than happy to help you. So grants, I'm sure we all know, do not need to be repaid, but I just want to make sure. Scholarships also do not need to be repaid. Loans do need to be repaid most of the time with interest. And then work study is an earned paycheck that you would get through the university. So these are the kind of the 3 steps that you need to take to be able to receive financial aid. So you'll first need to complete the FAFSA or the WASFA, submit any missing requirements to our office, and then accept your offer once it has been sent to you. The first thing, like I said, either the FAFSA or the WASFA is going to depend on whether you're eligible for federal aid. If you're not sure, you can always go to the WASFA's website. They do have kind of a quiz or a couple of little points where you can kind of check your eligibility. Most of the time, the only people that are going to need to fill out the WASFA are going to be resident non-citizens. Otherwise, you're going to want to go to studentaid.gov for the FAFSA. And just an important note, only complete one, please. It does kind of complicate things. I mean, it's not impossible to sort out, but only complete one, either the FAFSA or the WASFA for us. And then for submitting missing requirements, I am sure some of you have already gotten to this stage. If not, that's totally fine. We still have time, but you would need to go to your financial aid status page. You can either access this through EagleNet or through inside.ew.edu. And these are kind of the screenshots that you're going to see when you go there. So you're going to want to click over here on My Account, and then down in Financial Aid and Scholarships, the financial aid status. And then this is kind of a screenshot of what that financial aid status page will look like. This is our home screen. So this will display any missing requirements we need from you. You'll be able to tell if we are missing them because they will either be highlighted in this orange yellowy color or in red. And it will also say student action required. One important thing, especially if you are a continuing student later on, is to make sure that you do have the appropriate aid year selected. So for this year, it would be 24-25. If you're a brand new student here, it's probably going to be the only year that you're going to have. Otherwise, continuing going forward, you'll need to make sure that that correct aid year is selected. To accept your offer, this would be on your home page. For the responses required, you will need to answer these questions before any aid is able to be dispersed. So like I said, if there's anything in red or that yellow orangey color, that's going to be a key kind of flag for you to understand that that is something that we need you to complete in order to receive your financial aid. Next is going to be the offer tab. So just one over from the home, that's going to display your student aid index, your cost of attendance, as well as the rest of your offer. So whether you get grants, scholarships, loans through FAFSA or WASFA, that will all be on this tab. So your grants and scholarships, we assume you automatically want those. So we already have them accepted for you, but you will need to make a decision on your loans, whether you want them or not. So over, you can see subsidized loan and unsubsidized loan. This is just a sample again, so this might not be what you're looking at, but you will want to go over to each one, subsidized and unsubsidized, if you have those available to you, and either accept, decline, or modify them. If you choose accept, you are accepting the entirety of that loan. This, the amount total is going to be for the entire year, and then we also break it down for each individual quarter, and that is per loan, and then also the total at the bottom. If you decide to decline them, just know that they are available to you later on in the year if you need them, so you can kind of have that as like an emergency backup fund. Modifying is if you would need like less than the entire amount if you don't want to accept. Say this example is for $3,500 for subsidized loan. If you only think you would need 1,000 of subsidized, then you could go into the modify and it will give you the option to only accept 1,000 for the year. After you get done with that, you'll want to go submit. That will complete your acceptance of your financial aid. And then the terms and conditions box will pop up. You will need to acknowledge that. Whether you're declining loans, accepting loans, anything like that, you'll need to acknowledge the terms and conditions if you have any grants or scholarships. So if you don't go through this step, if you say, oh, I don't want loans, I only want my grants, if you don't go through this step and you don't acknowledge the terms and conditions, we won't be able to disperse any grants and scholarships you have applied to your account. So it's very important that you do this. Next, if you are planning on accepting your loans through FAFSA, so that would be subsidized or unsubsidized, you'll want to go through and do a entrance counseling and master promissory note, and those can be found on studentaid.gov. This is a screenshot of studentaid.gov. It will just be the home page and then loans and grants tab, and then master promissory note and loan entrance counseling are here for you. They're pretty quick and easy. I would say if you were doing both of them, maximum maybe a half hour or so. So let's go over some of the main points of financial aid. This, I believe, was sent to you in the mail. You should have received it hopefully by now. But if not, it is on its way to you as long as you have received a financial aid offer. So these are kind of a breakdown of what you might expect to pay. This is just an example. So for somebody that is an in-state Washington resident, we have tuition fees for the annual, and then also broken down into the fall, winter, and spring quarters. And then we have books, materials, food, and housing if you are on campus. If you are not going to be on campus, this part will likely be missing. Don't worry, you're not, nothing is wrong. It's just you will be paying something different than somebody that is living on campus. And then we have the grand total for the billable items. Now, these are going to be the things that may be charged through the university. Non-billable items, if that is also on there, that would include transportation, personal expenses, loan fees, anything like that. So we do allow for financial aid to pay for things like that outside of just what you would be charged for university. So if you see that on there, don't panic. You're not being charged for it. It's just we need to be able to have kind of a maximum that we can pay you for that, for those kinds of things. And then down below in the next section, you'll be able to receive, or you'll be able to see a kind of a breakdown of your aid. This one is a pretty generous one. So if yours doesn't look like this, I know mine didn't. Don't be worried. But this is kind of an example of what somebody with a maximum need might receive. So presidential scholarship, good for them. They got a 4.0 in high school, federal Pell Grant, federal SEOG, Washington College Bound Scholarship, Washington College Grant, and then EW Grant, as well as the subsidized and unsubsidized loans. These are also, like the above, going to be broken down into fall, winter, and spring quarters, so you can kind of get an idea of what you might expect to receive, as well as the annual, so the total. Next, you are going to want to make your plan. This is super important, especially if you aren't used to living on your own, if you've never had to pay your own bills before. So we have our Eastern bill and then our aid total for this specific example. So total bill for tuition fees, books, materials, food and housing is estimated to be $24,957. And then their aid would be about $24,792. And that is going to leave them with a balance owing of $165 for the year. And then we have that number broken down as before into the fall, winter, and spring totals. We also have, along with that financial aid offer, we should have also sent this quarterly budget, more just kind of a tool for you if you would like to use that. So you can plan out your scholarships, your grants, if you have any savings, or if you have or are expecting any help from your family, into the total income, so to say. And then the quarterly expenses, which would include everything that you would be paying for the quarter, so that you can plan out, see if there's a difference between those, if it's positive, if it's negative, so that you can plan accordingly and look into some of these other ways to pay. So EW payment plan, our bursar's office does offer a payment plan, which Mimi will be going over in just a second. The campus job, you can look on Handshake or through student employment if you would like a job on campus. We have student loans, either subsidized, unsubsidized, or alternative, which would be through a private lender. And we do have some resources for you if you need to check those out too. If your parents are super awesome and supportive and would like to take out a loan for you, we have a Parent Plus loan. And then, of course, the alternative loan, like I was mentioning. So here are a couple things just to kind of note for financial aid in general. I know I get a lot of questions like these all the time. College charges are assessed each term. So this, if you're seeing a massive bill, or you're seeing this estimate of like 24,000 if you're living on campus, and you're saying, oh my gosh, I have to pay 24,000 at the start of the term or at the start of the year, that's not the case at all. So college, everything is assessed on a quarterly basis. So that would be tuition fees, your room and board, your food, everything is assessed per quarter. And a portion of your aid is also dispersed each term, not all at once. If your aid is more than your charges, you will receive a refund. So going back to that example, the charges were about $24,000. If they'd received a crazy amount of scholarships and say they had $27,000 in aid, then they would be receiving that $3,000 back to them via either a check in the mail or a direct deposit if they have that set up. And Mimi will also go over that as well, because that's more the billing department side of things. But just so that you know, if that amount that you're receiving between aid and your actual bill is like differing, then you would receive that as a refund. If your aid doesn't cover all your term charges, there are other ways to pay. Like I was saying, you can take a campus job, either work study or just a regular student employment opportunity, student loans, or the repayment plan through the bursar's office. And just as a reiteration, we are here to help. A lot of people, I think, have kind of a negative connotation towards financial aid, but we do pull a lot of strings for our students, especially. We are only a team of 17, like I was saying, and this is a school of roughly 8,000 to 9,000 students, which is about 500 students per staff member of financial aid. But if you need help, we will help you. So please reach out. This is our information, our phone number, our hours, our 10 a.m. to 4:45 on the phones. Lobby hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then we also do take appointments. So if you think you need to sit down one-on-one with an advisor, go ahead and reach out to us, request an appointment, and we're happy to talk to you.
Thank you, McKenna. That's always so helpful. McKenna's going to stay on. Please keep asking your questions in that Q&A. So make sure you use that Q&A feature, so then that way we can go through all the questions that you have. But next up, we have Mimi here from the Bursar's office. And so Mimi, welcome, and thanks for being here. And then after Mimi presents, we'll have both McKenna and Mimi and some other staff online to answer your questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Hi, everybody. My name's Mimi Hatley, and I am part of the Bursar's office, also known as Student Financial Services. So we are the billing department here on campus. Just a little bit of background about myself. I'm an Eastern alumni as well. Maria and I actually go way back. She was my academic advisor when I was a freshman here at Eastern. And so it's pretty cool to be now a working employee here at Eastern and just learning so much from Maria and everybody else here and all my different professors. I'm originally from Kent, Washington, graduated from Kent Meridian High School. So if there's anyone from Kent, shout out to you guys. Excited to have you on campus here in the fall. So today I'll be talking about a few different things that our office does for our students here on campus. And I'll have McKenna go to the next slide, please. All right, so this is our team right here. We have a few Eastern alum that are part of the Bursar's office. And some of us are part of the front line and some of us are on the back end. So you might have interactions with a few different folks here on our team. And not pictured in our picture is Japheth. He is new to our team and he's part of our frontline team. And so if you ever walk into our office, he would be the first person that you get to see. So we'll move on to the next slide. All right, so here within our office, like McKenna mentioned, we do process your refunds. So in the event that you ever have additional funds after your bill has been paid in full, you will receive a refund. This is super important to know because we want you to set up direct deposit. Direct deposit is going to be your best friend when receiving a refund because it's the most secure and fastest way to receive your aid in those refunds. If you opt to not set up direct deposit, then a check would be sent in the mail. But we have noticed in this academic year a lot of checks getting lost in the mail or checks getting stolen in the mail and other people cashing them on students' behalf. And it becomes a nightmare if that happens, trying to get access to those funds again so that you can have those funds. So please set up direct deposit. We're happy to help you here within our office on giving you information on how you can set up your direct deposit. Next slide, please. All right, so here at Eastern, we're actually a paperless billing university. And so what this means is whenever we do our billing, it's all going to be processed through your EagleNet. So that's why it's really important you're checking your Eastern email address because we will send a notification each time we've completed billing every single month. So if you do receive a notification, that means that you do have a balance owing on your account. So be sure you're paying attention and understanding what that means. So for students who don't pay their bill on time, in a couple slides, I will be talking about a late fee that will be assessed on your account. So it's really important that you are understanding what your bill means, looking at what you're receiving in financial aid, because not every student will have their financial aid cover their entire bill. And then while you're looking at your bill on EagleNet, it is a snapshot in time. And so sometimes there's additional fees that are applied to your account after we've processed billing. For example, we have our Eagle store here on campus. They're the department that process all the charges for electronic textbooks, and those automatically are applied to students' accounts. And you have the option of opting out of those fees if you don't want an electronic textbook, but that's just something to be aware of, that these additional fees will come later after we've processed our billing. Next slide, please. All right, so the fun part for our department is receiving payments from students. So you have multiple different ways that you can actually make your payment, and most of these payments are actually done online. And so when you're trying to process a payment online, we highly recommend using an electronic check. And what this means is all you need is your bank routing number and your account number. When you use this form of payment method, there's no additional service fees that you're going to inquire. If you ever use a credit or a debit card, you will inquire additional service fees, and it's 2.95% of the total amount that you're owing on your bill. So if you're somebody that is paying completely out of pocket for your tuition, this can be a very high fee for you when you're making that huge of a payment. So please be aware to know your options while you're making those payments online. And then in person, if you ever come in our office, we do accept cash or check, and you're also welcome to send us a check in the mail. Next slide, please. All right, so here are some important dates that you need to focus on here coming as you come to Eastern. So for fall quarter, the tuition payment due date is on September 25th, and for winter quarter, it's July 6th, and for spring quarter, it's March 31st. As mentioned earlier, there is a $75 late fee that will be applied to a student's account on the 6th day of each term, after the 6th day of each term. So if you don't pay your bill by the 6th day of each term on that next day, you will see a $75 late fee. We only apply this late fee once in each quarter, but it's just very important that you are paying attention to your billing and understanding whether or not you owe money before that 6th day. And I will also be talking about payment plans if that's an option that you're seeking. Next slide, please. All right, so let's jump into payment plans. This is a great resource for a lot of students and their families. And the reason being is our payment plans don't have any interest tied to it. All you have to do is pay a $40 setup fee each quarter. So if you plan on using a payment plan every quarter, you would pay a $40 setup fee. And then for that specific quarter, so for example, for fall, we will split up the payment plans into 3 equal payments. For fall quarter, we already have those dates, and the first payment is going to be due October 2nd. The second payment will be due on November 2nd, and the last payment on December 2nd. So this gives you, some time to pay off your bill, and we won't apply that $75 late fee if you're enrolled in a payment plan. And I highly recommend that you set up your payment plan at the beginning of the quarter, because that's when it's most beneficial. If you set it up later into the quarter, you can find yourself having to pay the first payment plan due, and the second one at the same time. So it's really important to try and do it at the beginning so you can spread those payments out. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so some other dates that are super important. You will see your charges for your fall quarter by September 19th. So this should include your financial aid as well. Right now, actually, if you log into your student account, you will see your tuition charges if you have enrolled for fall quarter, but you won't see your financial aid applied to your bill, and that can be confusing for students. From my understanding, you should see your financial aid on your bill by September 18th. So on the 19th, everything should look correct if your aid was processed in time. And then September 25th is the first day of class, and this is the day when we release those refunds. And so a lot of students will start to see those direct deposits going through. Again, if you are opting out of the direct deposit, which I highly discourage, then on this day is when we would put a check in the mail to your mailing address on file. On October 2nd is the last day to set up a payment plan as well as pay for your fall quarter charges. And then on October 3rd is when you're going to see that $75 late fee. All right, so additional resources here within our department. Of course, I've extensively talked about payment plans, but other things to be aware of through our department is if your parents are assisting you on making payments on your student account, you can set them up as an authorized user, and we're happy to give you all that information on how to set them up. What this means is they get their own account set up that's linked to yours for your billing purposes only, and they can go in there and make payments on your behalf or set up any payment plans. And then if you're utilizing any GET or 529 funds, we're happy to give you our address, because a lot of these different institutions will need an address of where to send a check. Some of them do it electronically, so it just depends on where your funds are held. And then lastly is we do third-party billing. So we do have a third-party billing specialist in our office. And what this means is a lot of students will be working while they're going to school. So if you work for companies like Amazon or Boeing, some of these companies will do tuition reimbursement, and so they will pay on your behalf to go to school, which is really awesome. And our third-party coordinator would work with these specific companies to make sure that your funds are getting over to Eastern. So that's pretty much it for me today, and we are excited to hear your questions for financial aid or the bursar's office.
There's lots of questions in that Q&A. So Megan, do you want to read them off? And
How about if you read them off and I will put the answers back in the chat just so they're documented for everyone?
perfect, that sounds good. And Mimi, McKenna, and Nadia, I believe you're on as well. Feel free to answer these based on what the question is. So the first one is, are the charges on online student accounts the same as on-campus students? Megan, can you unmute them? I don't know why they're muted.
Thank you. I was like, I can't unmute myself. Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. So that's a tough question because it just depends on what kind of student you are. If you're a traditional student fully taking online classes, then your charges are going to look pretty similar to a student on campus, obviously without housing charges. But if you're in a special online program, then tuition is different, it's assessed differently, and there's different tuition costs. So that one is a very specific question, and I highly encourage you to reach our department so that we can discuss you personally so we are on the same page.
Thank you. And Megan did put the contact information for the Bursar's office on there. So you
Thank
can
you.
contact them directly. Yeah. Do you have to pay your unpaid balance for the quarter on the first day? So I think you talked about this in regards to payment plans. But yes, I don't know why I keep getting on mute. So sorry about that. Can you unmute Mimi again?
All right, sorry. So we encourage you to pay it on the first day, but again, you have up until the 6th day to pay your bill without any late fees. For me, it's just a great rule of thumb. It's the first day of class. Let me check my bill. Let me pay it so you don't forget. Because once you get into the rhythm of classes and the stress of school, you might forget. And then now it's 2 weeks into the class, and now you have a $75 late fee on top of your additional charges. So I think it's just great for you to just make that a habit to pay it as soon as possible.
Great. And you did answer this in your presentation, but reimbursements are from financial aid are on the first day of the quarter, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Right.
And that's if your financial aid is processed in time. So if you don't have financial aid on your student account, then obviously you're not going to get a reimbursement on the first day of class. So that's why it's important you're checking on your status, checking on your email, because financial aid will be emailing if they're missing any documentation from you. So it's really important that you stay on top of it so that you can get your aid in time.
Perfect. Thank you. And so again, there was another one about reimbursement. So we just answered that. And definitely the refund, if you have more grant money than the cost of attendance, then you may have a refund as well. So we answered that. Definitely, if you have questions about what you're seeing on your bill, reach out to them. So if it's confusing what you're seeing, make sure you reach out to financial aid to make sure that you are understanding if you will be getting a refund or if you will be owing. Okay, so next one is, does the non-billable items mean that I am not responsible for those costs?
Yes, so if it's listed under non-billable, that's more just an estimate of what we think you would pay for those kinds of costs. So depending on if you're living on campus or off campus, that could be a non-billable cost. If you're on campus, that's a billable cost. If you're not living on campus, it's non-billable. But other things would include transportation, personal expenses. So say you want to go out for dinner one night, that would be included. Or transportation if your car breaks down, if you have to buy gas, any of those kinds of things, that would be considered a non-billable cost. So that's something that the university won't charge you for, but you might expect to pay while you're in school here.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not confuse transportation from the transportation fee, which is a mandatory fee. So the transportation fee and your mandatory fee is required by students to pay because we're partnered up with STA, which is the bus system, and we are required to charge that to every single student on campus. So it's not something that you can opt out, which is a confusing question that we get a lot within our department.
And I think you both touched on this a little bit when you were giving your presentation, but there's a question of how do we get the card that the loans will come on? don't believe there's a card. It's just all one bill. And then depending on what they owe, that will go to all of their expenses that they owe first. And then if there's any reimbursement, that's what you were just discussing. Is that correct?
Yes, we don't do cards here. I know some community colleges and universities do that, but here at Eastern, you would just get that refund via check or direct deposit, and it's all applied directly to your student account. So it's never going to come to you first for you to apply to your student account.
Perfect. Have scholarship notices for transfer students been sent out for the upcoming year?
I actually just asked our scholarship expert this yesterday, and she said that yes, pretty much all of the transfer scholarships have gone out. There are still a couple departmental scholarships that are kind of trickling in, but for the most part, scholarships have all been applied to student accounts.
Perfect. And the deadline again for accepting financial aid? Do we have a date for that, for the deadline?
So there's not necessarily a deadline to accept financial aid. However, you do want to keep in mind that if you are, for example, going to take a loan, there are additional steps after you've accepted the loan. So you want to be sure to account for that type of timeline. In most cases, if you are not planning to take your loan and you just want to take some of that grant funding or scholarship funding, then as soon as you accept it, it usually takes, I would say, a couple days to kind of activate, and then the disbursement process runs in accordance with our regular schedule, which is about a week before classes start. So with that being said, I would suggest to accept your award, if not that first week of September, at the latest, maybe that second week of September, just so it gives you enough time to do those additional requirements if you need to, as well as make adjustments or ask us questions as well.
Perfect. And because there's so many questions, the question in regards to summer, I'm going to ask you to contact the financial aid office specifically, since we're just talking about the 24-25 upcoming year. So that summer question please reach out to the financial aid office in regards to that.
Closer to your spring quarter as well.
Yeah. So where do I go to pay the term if all of my offers don't cover the total? So I know Mimi, you talked about this as well in regards to payment plans options, but again, where will they go to pay their bill?
So most students go through EagleNet to pay their bill, but I know some students have expressed to us that sometimes they have difficulty because EagleNet expects you to have your pop-up blockers removed because it's trying to open a new page, which we accept payments through a site called TouchNet. And so if you are going to go through EagleNet, I just highly recommend that your pop-up blockers are removed. That way that page can open so you can actually get to our payment portal. If you don't want to go through EagleNet, whenever you're on the inside.ew page, under A through Z services is an option called EW e-payment. If you click on that, that takes you directly to our payment portal.
Perfect, thank you. And official bills post on the first day of the quarter, is that correct?
Yes, so you should already see that bill by the 19th. Like I was saying, some additional things will trickle in. And if you've already registered for fall quarter, you'll see part of your bill right now. Housing has already done their billing. And so if you are in housing, you should see your housing charges as well. But like the Eagle store, they usually wait a week to 2 weeks before class starts to apply those Canvas ebooks. And if you happen to change a class, the first week of the quarter, then you'll see those additional charges trickling in later because the system is going to automatically add those additional fees as you make changes to your schedule.
Right. This is a really good one. How do you know the difference between the two offices? How do I know when to contact the bursar's office, and how do I know when to contact financial aid office?
I love this question because everybody gets us confused. So with our department, that's why I try to mention at the beginning of my presentation, we're the billing department. So anything to do with your bills, we process your refund. Let's see what else. If you want payment plans, we would handle that for you. And then I'll let financial aid kind of speak on what they handle.
So
Oh.
we handle, yeah, if you, oh, sorry, Nadia. I
No,
didn't
go
mean
for it.
We handle anything to do with financial aid, especially like in the setup. If you ever need to change your financial aid, if you're ever enrolled in less than full time and we need to prorate your financial aid for the quarter, anything basically before financial aid is dispersed and applied to your bill, we can pretty much take care of for you.
Great, thank you. Great question. Just to clarify, will our tuition be automatically charged from our financial aid?
Financial, it's kind of the opposite actually. So the tuition and bills are first applied, so that'll be your entire bill. And then around the 1 to 2 business days before the first day of the quarter, financial aid will then apply to that bill. And then if there's any amount left over, then you would be responsible for paying that. Or if there's any financial aid left over after your bill is completely paid for, then that's where the refund would come in.
Perfect. If you're off campus and you can still get max financial aid, if I'm thinking if it says negative, if I'm reading that correctly. That makes sense.
So I
So
think
if there's any negative on your account, so after financial aid has been processed to your student account, because we've done billing, that means there's a credit coming, a refund coming to you. That's what you should expect. So sometimes it just takes a while for the system to process it. But if you're looking at your account, it's been 2-3 days and you're like, it's still showing that I have a negative, that means I have a credit that needs to come back to me. Don't hesitate to call our office because we can then manually push it out. But for the most part, most refunds will automatically get processed by the system. There's just some certain one-offs that we have to manually push ourselves.
Perfect. Thank you. So I have financial aid that completely covers the cost of tuition and everything. Do I have to do anything else to make sure it's processed?
Kind of depends on the case-by-case basis. If you're unsure, you can always go to your financial aid status page or contact us, either via our phone number. I wouldn't do email right now just because we're about a week plus behind on emails, but definitely give us a call and we can look into your account directly to see if you're missing anything. But if there's nothing on your home page for your financial or the home tab for your financial aid status page, then most likely there isn't anything that you should need to do to be able to receive that financial aid.
And on a quarterly basis, I do also suggest to check for 3 big things. Is one, has your balance been paid in full, whether it's an upcoming balance or a past balance from another term? The second item is you want to make sure your satisfactory academic progress standing is still in good. So as long as you pass all your classes and continue to, you should be in pretty good shape. But if you ever have questions, if classes don't go as you plan, just connect with our office. And then that last item is just making sure that you're enrolled in full-time credits, which for an undergrad, that's about 12. For a graduate, it's 8. So if you're anything less than that, let our office know. Any one of these items can impact the timing of when you receive your aid, as well as the amount that you receive. So if you ever kind of have questions about that checklist, always feel free to connect with us.
Right. We've already talked about extensively about how to pay. So hopefully you know where to go. Definitely reach out to the bursar's office if you need more clarifying questions answered. The next one. Okay. So it's the bill will be available because there's a scholarship Joseph was awarded requires I submit this to accept it, and deadline is the 16th. Will there be a way to get this to provide to them? Does this have them call you directly?
Most likely, because it sounds like it might be a need assessment that usually is required for scholarships. And yeah, if you have those, important to get those to us as soon as you can, because depending on how many we have to review, it can take a couple weeks to process.
Perfect. Yeah, great question. Make sure you contact them directly for any outside scholarships that need to come in with more information. If you are requesting a loan, do you need to do a master promissory note?
If you're requesting a loan through FAFSA or through student aid, and it's your first one, then yes. If you're requesting a loan through a private lender or an alternative student loan, then no.
Perfect. I'm living off campus, at home, and in financial aid, it shows housing costs. So will that be taken off once my off-campus form is accepted?
It should be, yeah.
Yeah. So you just heard from Melanie. We put in the chat the exception form. So make sure you fill that out and it's approved for able to process that from the financial aid side as well. Let's see. I'm just going through some of them. I feel like we've already answered. You ladies can see the questions too, right?
Oh,
I don't know if you can. Probably
I
not.
don't think so. We
Okay.
can't see them.
All right. I filled out a waiver form for the Veterans Resource Office that allows me to get in-state tuition as an out-of-state student, but all of the stuff that I am getting from financial aid still shows out-of-state tuition. So I wonder if you had any ideas of when the waiver would be applied to my account. Should we have them contact you directly?
I would say yes, because in most cases, what happens as long as a student, especially for residency issues, has clarified with records and registration and they have kind of solidified the status, they will send our office notice so that we can take action on the file. But if the student has noticed that it's maybe been taking a couple weeks to process, definitely check in with us to see if we can maybe add that request on a little bit sooner.
Perfect. Are there still loans you can get even if you didn't apply for financial aid?
Yes, so you do have the option to apply for what's called an outside alternative loan. There is a website that we suggest that is called elmselect.com. And what it is it's a site that kind of shows you different options of different lenders. You really want to pay attention to your interest rates as well as your repayment plans, because sometimes they either are better or a little bit worse than what the federal loans can offer you. But yes, those are option, and do keep in mind they are contingent on a credit check as well, but they do offer cosigner options if needed. For those, like I said, there is the website, and then we also have the Parent Plus loan if that's something the parent is interested in borrowing on students' behalf as well.
Perfect. So I'm just going to do a couple more. We put in the chat financial aid. We're running out of time here, but I do want a couple more questions. So Mimi, or I think McKenna, actually, when you showed the financial aid tab and the website, it says to accept terms and conditions. Where can they find that?
So that would be under the offer tab. So in your financial aid status page, right when you go in, it's going to take you to the home tab. The one directly next to that is going to be the offer. So that's going to be where you're going to see any of your grants, scholarships, loans, anything like that. So kind of all encompassing financial aid. And then down at the bottom, once you make a decision on those loans, whether it be to accept, decline, or modify them, you'll be able to accept or submit, excuse me, and then that terms and conditions box should pop up.
Perfect. And the last one is automatic scholarships based on GPA. How are students awarded those, or if they're even awarded those based on GPA.
So for this,
Beginning. Oh, sorry, Nadia. Go
ahead.
ahead.
So for this one, every November, we do open up our annual EWU scholarship. And what's the nice thing with this application is it's one application itself, but it kind of enters you in a pool for different awards. And this does include most of those automatic awards. So as long as you have qualified for the GPA, as well as filled out the other information about extracurricular, things like that, it can potentially qualify for you for those awards. For the ones that are based on GPA, they're a pretty hard requirement, but if you do receive it, the nice thing is they are also able to be renewed. So as long as you continue to maintain that GPA, then you can also receive the award for up to 4 years if you do receive it. And then on our website as well, we do have some outside resources if you want to apply for more scholarships. Most of them do open up about that November of the year before. So just kind of keep that in mind. We do have resources at our office as well if you ever want to stop by and pick up a couple forms.
Woo, that was a lot. Help me give the ladies a round of applause. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time. I know we did not get to everyone's questions. Please reach out to them specifically so you can get your questions answered. Those were great questions. This is always a good topic. And we appreciate you all participating in terms of your questions. But please know to reach out to them so you can get your questions answered. Thank you so much.
Thank
Up
you.
next, Amanda. Welcome, welcome. We have Amanda here to talk with all of you in regards to records and registration. So Amanda, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. I'm Amanda Sowell. I'm the Associate Registrar, and I unfortunately will be giving you some homework. So be sure to take some notes, but I'll go ahead and share my presentation, and I believe Maria will be, are we doing questions at the end? Perfect. All righty. Perfect. Okay, so like I said, I'm Amanda Stillwell. I'll be covering a little bit about what we do here and some reminders of things that you should be doing before you come. There we go. So the biggest thing is the credit evaluator team. So that is managed by Julie Fournier, who was unable to make it, but she's wonderful and she can answer any questions you have about transferring credit in. I think most of our students have some sort of high school transfer from a different university, either through college and the high school, potentially running START. And so we'll talk a little bit about how that works. So you'll hear this word a lot, transcripts. That's a lot of what we do. We want to get transcripts into our office so that we can evaluate them and we can award you credit. So there's less credits that you have to complete before you can graduate. So that's what we're looking for. Is I know you just got here, but graduation is ultimately the goal in the next 2 to 4 years. So we really want you to go through the process of sending those transcripts. And how you can do that is they need to go either directly from your high school or your college that you've attended, come directly to our admissions department. Once we get those transcripts, they get reviewed for credits that are equivalent to what we have here at Eastern. And you'll see all of that information on your degree works. So what that will do is we'll see a class that maybe you took in college and the high school, and it was an English 101 class. It gets transferred in, and now you don't have to take that. So ultimately, the goal is we want to make sure you're not retaking classes you've already taken. We want you to be taking things that are going to help you succeed. Once you have had your evaluation completed, again, the evaluation team will reach out to you, or you can check your degree works. What happens if you look at your degree works and you say, hey, I don't see a class that I took on here. You can reach out to EW evaluations at ewu.edu, or a really simple way is just eval@ewu.edu. You just send it to them with your providing your email, your student ID, and the course. And then if you have the syllabus, we can reevaluate potentially if that credit does clear something in your program. Many of you have already registered. So if you are now remembering, oh my gosh, I took this class at a different college or a high school, and you forgot to tell your advisor, we really recommend reaching out to them, because you may be taking the same class again. And again, we don't want you to pay for something you've already taken. So if you feel like you fall into that, definitely reach out to your academic advisor or to us, and we can evaluate and see where we're at on that. What happens when we actually get the transcript and it's been evaluated? I keep saying degree works. You're going to hear that a lot for the next 4 years. And that is basically the end all be all of your record. It's everything that you've either taken here in the institution or you've taken at a different institution. And that is going to tell you, as you declare into your programs, what is needed and what you've completed, so that you can stay on track. We don't like to keep you here any longer than you need to be. I know many of you are like, oh, I love it here and I want to stay forever. We really want you to get that degree and then get out of here and maybe come back as a graduate student or as a post-bac. So we still want you, but maybe not as an undergrad. So if you go to inside.ewu.edu, you'll select the degree works, and that'll take you to this lovely page. So this tells you everything about your student record. So essentially, you're going to see what program you're declared into, what are the university requirements. So this is a really big thing that's going to be important as you progress, is that there are program requirements. So in the case of this student, Gretchen Tester, who has been here for too long, she's not a great student, so she's not the ideal. But she is getting an anthropology degree. There are going to be program requirements for your anthropology degree, but then also university requirements. One of those is going to be that you do a minimum of 180 credits if you're a quarter student. It's going to be doing what we call backers, or your general credits. So there's going to be those things that are going to be required. Unfortunately, math and English is also included in there. So for those of you who maybe that's not a strong suit, we really recommend working with your advisor to get you on a path so you can be successful for that. If you are, like this student, getting a Bachelor's of Arts, you will need to show that you've done foreign language. So either that means you took 2 years in high school, which is why it's really important to bring your high school transcript to us so we can just knock that requirement right out. Or if you haven't completed your math, like many of our students, you can be placed into a math based on how you did in your high school math classes. So we really recommend you bringing those in so that we can get you in those classes as soon as possible. The same with foreign language, because if you didn't complete that in high school and you're getting a Bachelor's of Art, you will have to do 1 year here. And we would hate to advise you into 1 year of foreign language when you did it in high school. So this is why transcripts being sent to us is so important, both for the high school and the college level. So how do I read it, and what does it mean when I'm transferring in credits, again, from outside? Well, what you'll see is the applicable term. So in this case, this student took it in fall quarter of 2019. You'll see here that they took communication studies, English, and math, and that is completing those requirements. So when you look in degree works, if these are requirements for graduation, either for the degree or for university, it will clear that for you. So that's less credits you have to take moving forward. You'll see the grade, which is T, that will tell you it's a transfer, and that gets calculated into your overall GPA for both institutional and transfer work. So we do put that credit towards you. So I know that's a lot with the transcripts and your degree, but it really is important to know that we have everything kind of checked off. And once that happens, now we can move into some helpful ways for you to progress through your academic career. So specifically, once you know what you've completed and you know what program, and so I know many of you have probably been looking on our website, maybe have talked to departments or your advisors and have an area of interest that you want, you will in DegreeWorks have a program that's assigned to you. And once that's assigned, there's a roadmap of everything that you need to take for the next 2 to 4 years. So every course that is still needed. So for this student, these are all these classes here are all classes that they still need to do in order for them to graduate. They can plan with their academic advisor for the next 4 years. We now, as of this academic year, have published all classes for fall, winter, and spring and summer. So you can start planning out what classes you want to take for the next academic year. So you can start looking on EagleNet and seeing what's out there. You can work with your either your CAR advisor or your departmental advisor to figure out classes that maybe aren't offered every term and what term that they are. So maybe there's a winter only class. You want to work with them to make sure that you actually enter that into your winter term so that you don't miss that chance and have to take it in another year. This is, again, that roadmap that we're looking at to get you out of here as fast as we can with a degree. So other than getting your transcripts, there's a couple pieces of homework that will make your transition in the fall go much faster and better, and that is updating your personal information on EagleNet. So if you log into EagleNet, you'll just click on your personal information, and this is what it will look like. You can provide your preferred name. So many people don't go by their given name, and this will help and show up on faculty's rosters. So when you go to class, we don't misidentify you, and it lets us know when we're working with you in our departmental offices like the bursars or financial aid, how we should appropriately address you. We also want to have correct contact information because sometimes there's reasons that we need to reach out to you. Often it's to, find out what you're trying to do. I know the bursars and financial aid will reach out if there's any issues with your bill or your finances. Sometimes we will reach out if we just have questions about an action you're requesting us to do. So making sure you have that information updated is helpful for us. And I would say the most important, and safety is such an important thing for me personally, is your emergency contact. We don't ever plan for an emergency. We hope we never have one, but if we do have one, we want to make sure we can get a hold of somebody who is a trusted guardian, friend, parent, things like that, so that we can let them know what's going on. So if you haven't already updated that emergency contact, we really recommend you do that. So again, I brought up transcripts quite a bit, and I believe housing will be coming in and talking after this. And essentially, if there are things that you don't do that you're supposed to do, we basically prevent you from doing certain actions. And the most common one you'll find is registration. So if we don't receive your high school and or your college transcript by the 10th day of the quarter starting. So for fall, it would be October 1st. You will have a hold. You will be notified to your student email. You'll have a hold put on your account, which then will require you to send that in to us. So we really recommend doing that now. You have quite a bit of time before the school year starts. We'll go ahead and add that on there. so that when in November you need to register for winter, you won't be able to register until we've resolved this. So we do give you at least 5 weeks to resolve this before registration opens. The other piece is next week or September 1st, I'll be putting on housing holds. So if there's anything that's outstanding with housing, you'll need to make sure you contact them and get that all squared away, because we'll put those registration holds. So if for some reason you decide to make a change to your schedule between September 1st and the start of the school year, you will actually not be able to do that. So it's super, super important that you work with housing to figure out if there's anything, and this of course only applies to students who will be moving in the summer. So as the Records and Registration Office, the number one thing that we do are dates and deadlines. Super, super important to know what's going on, when the last day to do things are, or in some cases when you expect to get any kind of refund from your financial aid, or if you want to register, what dates those open up to. We recommend you subscribing to the academic calendar, and I apologize, I probably should have put the link, but you could still do it from your phone. You can use this QR code. It'll take you directly to our academic calendar, and you can be in the know of all dates and deadlines. We do recommend you do the iCalendar subscribe, because as we add more dates or change information, all of that will be directly updated on your phone. And then you can never miss a deadline, because oftentimes if you do miss a deadline, the amount of work it takes to fix it later on is going to maybe push you back and be detrimental. So we really recommend keeping an eye on that. And if you ever have a question about a date or a deadline and why something looks different, feel free to call our office or send us an email, and we're happy to give you some context on it. It's a pretty easy. I know we're not the most fun department on campus, but we're super essential to you getting out of here. We're often not the department that people come to and go, "You guys are doing a great job," and that we normally see you in your time of need, and we love that. But I think what we love the most is getting you graduated and seeing you at commencement. So that's what we're trying to do, is get you to commencement and graduation so that we can say we helped you succeed. Great.
So I'm going to ask if you, Megan, put in the chat their direct link to their website. So Records and Registration. You can take a screenshot of this page where it has Amanda and Julie's information, also with the QR code. There are a lot of questions in the Q&A, and I'm only going to get to a couple due to time, because we do have our next guest speaker, and all the colleges are waiting for you to join them in their college presentation. So Amanda, I'm just going to quickly just pick a couple. I think the key ones is, well, they're all key, they're all specific, but I think you talked about this, the importance of the degree works, understanding if I did take something, but I don't see it, or I thought I had my AA, but it's showing that I need to still have other classes. What should they do if there is some discrepancies between what they sent us or what they thought transferred to what they're seeing in degree works?
Yeah, definitely. We really recommend emailing eval, EVAL, at ewu.edu. And again, provide your ID number, and go ahead and send us an email and say, "Hey, I thought I had this." And our evaluation team, who are wonderful, can look into that for you and see what's going on.
Perfect. And then when it comes to declaring, if they have a change in declaring, or if there's a minor they want to add, or things like that, where should they go and how should they do that?
So again, go to our website. There's a major declaration form that they'll fill out. And what that will do is let our team know that either you're changing your major. So I know as you meet with the colleges, you may change your mind. That's okay. This is what the first couple of years are for, is to explore. So go ahead and do that. And we'll go ahead and update your degree works within, I think it's 2 to 3 weeks as it usually takes to process this close to the school year. We do get a lot of those requests.
Perfect. So a lot of the questions that I'm seeing is around those areas. So please contact them. Please take this information because you all have really great questions. They're very specific to your transcripts, your courses that you took, from GPA questions and things like that. So please contact them directly. All right, Amanda, please help me give Amanda a round of applause. We really appreciate you being here. And definitely, DegreeWorks is wonderful. As a former student here at Eastern, as someone who worked in advising, I love DegreeWorks. It's really great. So please utilize that and get to know what your transcripts all come in and credits and whatnot. All right. Last but certainly not least. Here we go, Devin. We have you up next, representing the Center for Academic Advising and Retention. So thank you for being here and being with all of the students virtually.
Sure, happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to sneak in right before the lunch hour here, so hopefully I can be quick so folks can grab a bite to eat. So yes, we are the Center of Academic Advising and Retention, and despite the acronym, we do not work on cars. Our main thing is ensuring that you can work through your classes to get to your majors and to get to graduation. To make an appointment with us, there are 3 main ways to do it, and this is the best way to talk through your situations because everybody has a unique situation. The first one is to call us. That number there, you can put it on speed dial. It's our main office line. That'll go to our front desk. The second one is the Navigate app that you all will be able to have access to. And the third one is stopping by our office, which is in Monroe Hall, the top floor, room 305. And for all intents and purposes, only one door is unlocked. So if you get to the top floor, you'll find your way in one way or the other. I'll also advocate for that one because we have free coffee on occasion. So you can stop by, get a quick coffee, and run off to your classes or to meet with your advisor, or both. Next, I'm just going to touch briefly on the Navigate app. I'm not going to go into depth or anything. I just want to reemphasize that this is a great way that you can schedule appointments to meet with your advisors. That QR code will take you to, your app store of choice, and you can download the app and sign in and go from there. From within that, once you have an advisor assigned to you and you've met with them, you'll be able to make appointments through that. So you won't necessarily have to call or come stop by for the free coffee. Now, I do want to put a caveat here with this one. As you folks are coming in as new students, you're still getting advisors assigned to you. So if you open the app and you do not see an advisor assigned to you, do not be alarmed. Advisors will be assigned by the start of the quarter. So just keep an eye on it, and you are always welcome to call or stop by. We are open all summer. We have folks manning the phones all summer, and we can answer questions, make appointments. Even if you just want to come by and say hello, check in to make sure your progress is okay. Each appointment does not have to have a specific goal of getting you registered. Just check-ins are always welcome and good. And that pretty much summarizes our components. Again, us over in CAR, our main objective is to make sure that you stay on track for your courses. So from freshman year all the way until you declare your major, we're there with you to make sure that your classes align. We want to help avoid any self-advising and running into issues with classes not checking off major requirements. So come see us, make sure you're on track, make sure you're good. At the bottom there is the office email. We have people checking it all the time, and we're pretty good about responding quickly, as well, again, as that phone number. So with that, in 3 minutes to the lunch hour, fire away with any questions you may have.
Any questions specific to registration? When is the last day to register for fall classes?
It's the 3rd day of the quarter, which this time will be September 27th, I do believe.
Okay. That was the main one. They're kind of jumbling in regards to records and reg. Megan, do you see any others specific to CAR.
Yeah, one just came in saying the bypass code is related to the, oh, sorry, everything with the bypass code, but it looks like someone just answered it actually, so.
All right. I'm going to throw two more things in real quick.
Yes.
One, I threw our website in the chat. You can use that website to get some general information about policies and whatnot, as well, again, as how to contact us. And second, I just want to make a plug that for folks who haven't yet registered for fall, we strongly encourage you to do so as soon as possible. Classes are starting to fill up and we want to get you slotted in while there's still time. So please do give us a call and we will get you seen as soon as possible.
Yes, and definitely your academic advisor helps with registering for your classes. You know, you heard from Amanda talking about degree works and your transcripts. So really knowing where you're at with the credits, because that determines when you register. And so definitely start making those first appointments. Can they make their first appointment now, Devin? I guess that's another question I have.
Oh, yes, they can make appointments anytime. You folks could call right after this meeting. After you're all done here, you can give us a call and we'll set you up with an appointment. We are here and ready.
Perfect. So definitely do that because again, you register based on your credits that are coming in. And so you want to know when that is, and you want to make sure that you have a plan for winter term already. I know, hard to believe we haven't started fall quarter, but we're already going to start talking about winter. So definitely reach out to your academic advisors. Devin, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time. Please help me give him a round of applause. We know how important advising is. And so students, please start to make your first appointments with your advisors. Okay. So a couple of announcements. So we have Welcome Week coming up. And so Welcome Week starts on September 19th. That begins the full week of activities that we have for all of our new students. And when I say all our new students, I am including those living on and off campus. I'm including those that are transfer students, our adult learners. We want you all to participate in our Welcome Week events. So you're going to receive an email from Megan and I and letting you know how to follow us in terms of what that looks like, of how to join Eagle Sync to see all of our events for that Welcome Week. I do most of the shopping for our first fun event on that Friday, September 20th. It is our EW's version of Club Vegas. I do a lot of shopping when it comes to having things for your resident halls, to your apartments, fun things like a Switch. So don't miss out on that. So definitely that Friday, the 20th, we'll kick off with some of our fun events. Along with the 19th. So I know you get to pick a day to move in. 19th, we'll have activities as well. This is how you get a hold of us. There's a lot of our contact information is right here. Again, feel free to take a picture of this screen. You heard from a lot of resources today. So Melanie said this earlier, everybody take a deep breath for me, because we just went through a lot of information these past 2 hours. Know that our role is here to help you and to support you. And so if we didn't get to your question, please reach out to us. Know that we are here through the rest of the summer until you all start moving on campus. Those of you that are moving in early, stop by our office. We are in Pub 301, and then we'll continue to support you as we go. All right. The colleges. Okay.